And welcome, everybody, to the Huddle, KGUT9's weekly streaming sports talk show. I'm Jason Barr, joined by Pat Parris. A lot to talk about today. Pat, good afternoon.
Yeah, a lot going on. Big rivalry game tonight, and end of basketball regular season, really into March Madness already.
For sure. Arizona and ASU at McKell Center. We're going to get to that. A lot to talk about, a lot to unpack. But first, we start with our Huddle poll question. Arizona Athletics signs an 8-year agreement with Nike, as Nike remains the official sportswear for Arizona. All right, which one do you prefer, or do you think is the best for college sportswear? And your choices, you can go to the poll on X or our website, and you can choose Nike, Adidas, Under Armour, or the Jordan brand, which is part of Nike, right? So we could probably add those two together, but it's 4 different choices. Nike, specifically Jordan Nike, Adidas, or Under Armour. Those are your choices. Pat, do you have a preference?
You know, I struggled only for a minute on this one, and I'm not an Adidas guy or an Under Armour guy. I think Nike's the brand, but in college basketball, the Jordan brand is pretty influential as well. Obviously North Carolina is a Jordan brand. You've got schools like Florida and UCLA that are Jordan brand. So while that's intriguing to me to maybe get under that smaller umbrella of the Jordan brand, I did go with Nike. That was my preference. I'm glad they signed the new deal. It's not as if there was a lot of question, but we knew the deal was up and we didn't know where it stood. And for those of us who have a lot of Arizona Nike gear, that means we don't have to clear out our wardrobe and start buying all new gear, although I buy new gear all the time anyway. But you know what I'm saying? I don't have to get a complete wardrobe change just because they went to, say, Under Armour or Adidas or something.
How much staying power? I don't want to get too much on this because we want to get to the Arizona ASU basketball here, but how much staying power does this Jordan brand have? And what I mean by that is if you're under 30, you never saw him play. Okay. As a kid playing tennis, I wore Stan Smith sneakers. I don't even know if they sell Stan Smith sneakers anymore, right? Now, obviously, Michael Jordan's bigger than Stan Smith, but how much staying power does this Jordan brand have? Down the road as nobody's wearing Joe DiMaggio batting gloves.
Yeah, but I'll say this: kids still line up when new, Jordans come out. Kids get online and get them ordered that never saw Michael Jordan play. So the Jordan shoe is iconic. The Jordan brand remains iconic. And don't forget, Chuck Taylors were around in the 1930s, Jason, and you can still get Converse Chuck Taylors today, although I think Nike owns Converse Chuck Taylors. But my point is, there's staying power for that, and nobody even knows, who Chuck Taylor. So, you get my point. I think there is a longevity with Jordan, maybe not forever, but I think it's still a huge brand right now.
All right, we'll check the results later in the show. If you've got a comment or a question, you can put it in the comments section here as we go live on our digital on our streaming platforms. All right,
Jason,
ASU Arizona tonight.
Before you get started on that,
yeah,
I want to go back to last week. What was you told me about a dream that you had, that Tommy Lloyd came to you in a dream, and he said what to you?
Really happened. You need to go to Calm Down Town.
Jason, I had this made for you. Oh, you can't see it because of the green screen. Oh, that's unfortunate. This is a green city sign that says "Calm Down Town," and I got this made just for you.
Oh, wow!
And I expect you to put this in the sports office. And anytime that things are going, a little sideways, you look at this and you say, "This was the dream that I told Pat about. That Tommy Lloyd came to me and said, you need to go to Calm Down Town."
I should have, Pat, I love it. Thank you so much. I will definitely do that. I ran into him actually on the way into McKell Center yesterday. I should have told him.
You should have.
I should have told him that. I was listening to our company meeting on Zoom, so I didn't get to that. But
there it is, Calm Down Town. It's too bad that it's keying out because of the green screen.
We can envision it though.
It's a construction green or street sign green. You're gonna love it, Jason. Yeah. It's reflective. I mean, says a lot.
Thank you. That made my day. ASU, speaking of coaches, ASU, Arizona tonight. Certainly this is the first game after they're playing after Arizona State coach Bobby Hurley said that Arizona showed no class in the win up in Tempe. He's referring to what he says was trash talking by Caleb Love and Jaden Bradley. Caleb Love says it has no effect on the game tonight. Obviously, Bobby Hurley is not going to get a good reception. This could be Bobby Hurley's last game at McKale Center. There are reports that ASU might move in a different direction. Pat, what do you think the reception is going to be for Bobby Hurley tonight?
Well, it was already going to be negative. It always is with Bobby Hurley. He's an easy target for fans of the opposing team. But now I think it'll be next level, and I think hopefully it stays appropriate and doesn't cross the line. We don't want to see that again at McKale, because that's not what McKale's about. But I think he'll get the reception that he deserves, and I think the fan base is going to remember it. I think Caleb Love's going to remember it, although they'll say the right things and say they're not. But I think it's hard not to have an opposing coach in a rivalry game to say that he's not going to vote for you for the Big 12 All-Conference team. Well, that's ludicrous. I mean, he's definitely a member
Caleb
of that.
Love says he's not motivated by that. We find out in these situations often a couple days later that they were. Yeah.
Well, Caleb Love's averaging almost 20 points, almost 6 rebounds, and almost 5 assists per game in his 3 career games against ASU. So I don't know what more motivation he needs than just put up that stat line, and you're gonna have a great night.
Yeah. Also, a big storyline for this game too that we can't overlook is that if Arizona wins, they clinch a number 4 seed at least in the Big 12 tournament, giving them the double bye. And you want to get that tonight because you got to go to Kansas in the finale, the regular season finale. And I know Kansas isn't having a Kansas year, but you don't want to have to get that win on the road. You want to nail that down tonight. So that's one of the storylines, and I'll let you speak to that before we get to BJ Freeman.
And it's so key to be one of those the top 4 teams to get the double bye right into the quarterfinals. I will say this about Kansas, and since we're not going to have a show before Arizona plays Kansas on Saturday, Kansas looked much better last night at Houston. They gave them quite a game. Maybe Kansas is out of the funk that kind of drug them down to 5th or 6th place in the Big 12 standings. So you don't want to put the pressure on to have to go to Kansas, go into Allen Fieldhouse in Lawrence and win that game. You want to take care of business tonight. Arizona's a heavy favorite tonight for good reason, and just take care of business. It's something, Jason, we really, against Utah, we saw them pretty well take care of business, but there were lapses, and we really haven't seen them play a real complete game for a couple of weeks now. So it'd be nice.
So the player who I don't know if you want to call it attempted to headbutt Caleb Love or headbutted Caleb Love, if he made contact, it was a very graze, okay, or else there would have been an injury, right? But he attempted to do it. BJ Freeman is actually ASU's leading scorer, and he is not with the team anymore. He's been dismissed. That wasn't the only disciplinary issue that he's had. So ASU comes into this game tonight without BJ Freeman. So that is a big deal, not just ASU without their leading scorer, but also the player who also was part of this, stirring the pot situation, because it takes 2 to tango.
Well, and maybe that's a blessing in disguise in a way that you're not going to have to worry about that aspect of it. I believe Arizona's an 18.5-point favorite, something like that.
Yeah, I think you're going to smoke them tonight, Pat.
17.5.
I don't see this as a close game.
No, and was it last year? It was 105 to 60 last year.
But 2 years ago was the buzzer beater that ASU won on.
Right, and that wasn't going to happen again last year, and it didn't. They got blown out by 45. I really thought after that game, Bobby Hurley was in big trouble. He as you pointed out, he had a terrific recruiting class coming in, so it kind of maybe saved his job. But now that terrific recruiting class is just falling apart. So you wonder, if the athletic director isn't at ASU gonna go a different direction. I believe it's somewhere around $3 million to buy out Bobby Hurley, just to fire him without cause, which is this would be. And so they've got to come up with that kind of money too.
And then that piece of video there was Jaden Bradley getting teed up in the game for doing a little too much talking after a basket.
Yeah.
I think Tommy Lloyd's going to say something to Arizona before the game. Hey,
well,
let's go hard. Let's keep the chatter a little
right.
low.
Remember, he challenged Caleb Love basically after that game was, don't direct it at the other team, just direct it at our team. Let's keep it internal. So you started seeing Caleb Love like point to the bench, his own bench, and man up and get strong for the next couple of games. So maybe that's what the message will be before the game tonight.
Jason Barr, Pat Parris is the Huddle, King of Night's weekly streaming sports talk show. Arizona basketball ranked 24th in the country right now, hosting ASU tonight. Pat, for seeding in the tournament, which is part of what they're playing for here.
Yes.
When you think about the 24th ranked team in the nation, you really think about a number 6 seed, but they have them higher in some of the Ken Palms. But then also, you get to the brackets and, there's a person in the committee who's on the East Coast and hasn't seen Arizona play and sees 11 losses or whatever it's going to be. And sometimes it's tough to get a 6 seed tough to get a 3 or a 4 seed as an 11-loss team. Do you really think they're going to be seeded that high, or do you think this is a number 6 seed team as I see them into the tournament?
No, I think they're sitting on the 4 line right now, and it's theirs to lose. So if they were to
even with the East Coast bias in the 11 losses,
I think what we've seen now with this net ranking and the emergence of KenPalm.com being kind of the most legitimate metric site in all of college basketball, I think that takes some of it out. And I also think, Jason, this is where the move to the Big 12 from the Pac-12 really helps Arizona, because
but it didn't help the women's team last year when they had the toughest schedule in the nation. They put them in a play-in game, an 11-seed play-in game. But
that's completely different from what I'm talking about. You've now moved into a one of the Power 2, Power 3 conferences in basketball now. You've got SEC, and then you've got the Big 10, Big 12 kind of right there. And what that does for you is it inflates.
What about the ACC and the Big East?
No, they're not, because they've only got one really good team, and that's Duke. So I'm talking about, the top to bottom strength of each conference. And because they joined the Big 12, and the Big 12 really elevates their week in, week out schedule, you see the metrics where their net ranking, number 10, their Ken Palm is 13. Joe Lunardi has them as a 4 seed. A couple others have them as a 4 seed. I think the metrics play a big part now in college basketball, even in the selection committee. And that's why you saw a couple of weeks ago when they released their initial top 16 seeds, the 4 number 1s, 4 number 2, 3s, and 4s, that Arizona was a 3 seed at that point. I believe they're a 4 seed right now, barring a collapse in the Big 12 tournament. You expect them to win tonight. You expect them to give Kansas a tough game. If they win or lose, really doesn't matter. They can't have an early exit out of the Big 12 tournament. As long as they take care of business there, I see them getting 4 seed.
I believe they could play Kansas twice in a row. No, it wouldn't be twice in a row for Kansas. But if Arizona is the 4 and Kansas is the 5, Kansas would have a game in between, but then Arizona might be playing Kansas twice in a row.
That could happen, I suppose. We'd have to, we'll have to see how it all shakes out. That's a possibility. I really think, the whole idea, we've seen this in other sports too, and other coaches, where you build your team to get tough enough and ready for the postseason, right? And I really think that Tommy Lloyd's built this team to be tough enough at the right times. Will they make their shots to win these games? I don't know. When we get towards the Big 12 tournament and then into the NCAA tournament. But the one thing's for sure, this team is more ready. They're more battle tested. They're more rugged. I just, you can look at the record and go 19-10, 13-5 in the Big 12, but that adds up. I'd rather be 13-5 in the Big 12 than 13-5 in the old Pac-12 the last few years, where that wouldn't have been a good record at all.
Let's spend a few minutes here on the lineup. Anthony Del Orso starting, didn't attempt a shot, didn't play in the second half. I think it's beyond time to put KJ Lewis back in the starting lineup. I know they had this narrative about how he does well coming off the bench and he wanted to help the team that way, but he's one of the 5 best players. I think, you know what, I would start him tonight and have him start the rest of the year. Let's see Del Orso, maybe have him have a spark coming off the bench to have a couple 3-pointers.
And maybe
I would make that move. Go ahead. Let me, before the other move that I'll talk about.
Yeah. And I think for Del Orso, he can't get open for shots. So maybe
it was frustrating seeing Momcilovic get open and have so many 3-pointers.
Right.
Why can't Del Orso get open? For
right. So maybe off the bench with a spark, he gets open and hits a 3 and ignites things, but he's a bit of a liability defensively at times.
He's got to come off the bench.
And
off the bench.
And you're talking about one of your best defenders in KJ Lewis. who's not out there at the start of games, I'd rather make the switch too.
Can Tommy Lloyd please find a few minutes for Connor Martinez? Okay, so he put him in, and he put him in for a while because they were down 20. He admitted after the game that he wouldn't have put him in if they weren't down 20. Connor Martinez did miss a couple of 3-pointers, and then there was one he should have taken that he didn't, probably because he missed the first one. You got to keep shooting. But Tommy Lloyd said after the game that Connor Martinez had a big impact on the game. And I think you got to find a few minutes for him. Whether I would take maybe 2 or 3 of Jaden Bradley's minutes, and maybe a couple of Del Orso's minutes, or I would find 5 minutes for Connor Martinez going forward. I know he just likes to play 8 guys, and he doesn't seem to kind of go off that. But I think you got to find a few minutes for Connor Martinez with the directive of, hey, we need a couple of 3-pointers and for you to make something happen. Don't force it, but make something happen when you're in there.
Well, I liked it too in that Iowa State game when they put Connor Martinez in. At one point, it was really Caleb Love sitting on the bench, and you still had Jaden Bradley in there. So it gave Jaden Bradley the opportunity to be
a few minutes for him.
Right. It gave Jaden Bradley the opportunity to be that shooting guard and open up options for him. And we saw what he was able to do with the dribble drive penetration, especially. So I think a couple of minutes here or there is probably would be a good thing, and it would definitely help keep both Caleb Love and Jaden Bradley fresher than they've been for sure at the end of games.
Well, also keep Connor Martinez from transferring. Not that that's your incentive here, but it reminds me a little bit a couple years ago of Adama Ball, and he just didn't play him, Right. And then he went to Santa Clara and put up big numbers. So, Tommy Lloyd said a couple years ago, hey, this town's going to fall in love with him. And he hasn't given him the playing time. Now we don't see what's going on in practice, and I realize the rotation's tough to crack, but you can find a few minutes for Connor Martinez.
You certainly can in situations where it's obvious that a guy needs a spell, just needs a break for a minute or two. Even if it's, there's a stop and play and it's 8:02 on the clock, put him in until for that minute till there's another stop and play, the under 8 timeout comes, something like that. Yeah.
All right, let's I believe we're going to have the bracket coming back up in a second. If not, we can go to the Huddle poll question and see where what the results are here. We were asking people there, as Arizona signs an 8-year extension with Nike, what is your which brand do you think is the best for college sportswear? And Nike, sure. I mean, we got a lot of Arizona people here, so I'm not surprised, and to see that. And, Under Armour hanging in there. Adidas bought Reebok a few years back, if I'm not mistaken. And so you can buy Nike and the Jordan Nike, you got 3/4 almost.
Yeah. Well, and I think what it comes down to as well is how does that manufacturer really work with the university? And we're fortunate because, Arizona football or Arizona basketball, not necessarily football, but football's done it too. They've had some unique combinations and color combinations, and Nike works with them on that. But really in basketball, it's about the apparel that the fans get to wear too. And they've done some nice things. And nowadays, Jason, with basketball, those quarter zips that all the coaches are wearing now all the fans get to wear them too. And you see a lot of those. And that's a Nike thing that Nike's done a nice job with that, of getting that apparel out so the fans can feel like they're really part of the team as well.
I still like a coach in a suit and tie, or at least a shirt and tie.
I'm not
whether
there.
It's Hurley,
I've passed
Nick
that.
Cronin, or Rick Pitino. I'm sorry, I'm old fashioned. I want to see a coach in a shirt and tie.
Yeah, I passed that. I used to believe that, and then when COVID hit, I changed my mind. I just think that's where we are, and there's news and sports anchors and people going to funerals about the only time you see ties anymore. So,
it's funny. We touched on tennis for a second earlier. I believe that the tennis coaches wear tennis apparel, and people were always wondering why they did that, and it's kind of funny. At least they look kempt, at least every coach wears on a team, they wear the exact same.
That's right.
things,
they wear the same thing. They look like,
and it's different from the other personnel. So, who's who.
Yeah.
But I would just rather see them. And, they're sweating too. Obviously, Sean Miller was here and he would sweat through his shirts.
Yeah. We know that's the example of that.
Your coach, and I get that part of it. I'm just sorry. I'm just an old fashioned person. And if I ever have a podcast, it'll be called Overdressed. That'll be hey, let's show everybody. Can I see that sign one more time?
Yeah, I thought your podcast would be Calm Downtown is what it should be.
Calm Downtown.
Calm Downtown.
All right.
There you
Next time I
go.
see Tommy Lloyd, I'll tell him.
Yep,
And
you
yes, let's
should.
get an engineer to hang that. That'd be great. Calm
I think
down.
you can do it
He
yourself.
said, "You
There's
need
2
to go to
holes.
calm
There's
down
2
town."
holes.
I wish I remembered more about the dream. You know, when you dream, you don't remember much. A lot of
Yeah.
times you remember part of the dream. That's the only part I remember. Uh, I remember carefully. Yep. Yep. Yep.
Well, in case
All right.
folks at home were wondering, this is what $20 and a coupon code will get you online these days. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah,
Well, thank you very
that's what
much
you're
for
worth.
that.
That's your friendship's worth $20 to me, Jason, and a coupon code.
That's more than
That's more than most, right?
$20 more than nothing. Yeah. Yeah. All right, everybody. Enjoy the Arizona ASU game tonight and go easy on Bobby Hurley. No. Come on. Go easy on him. Guy might not be back next year.
No,
Have
keep it
fun.
clean. Keep it
Okay, that's fair.
clean.
That's
Yeah, keep
fair.
it clean.
That's fair. Imagine if
Yep.
Tony Padilla's reffing the game and the two get into it.
Oh,
Oh my goodness. I
let's
think the roof would come off
who
McHale.
are the officials tonight? I don't
I'm
even
not
see it
sure.
here, but yeah,
I got to
that
look
wouldn't
that
be
up. I
good.
got to look up and see if you can really still buy Stan Smith sneakers. All right, for Pat Parris, I'm Jason Barr. Thanks to our producer Ryan McClure as well. This has been the Huddle, KGO9's weekly streaming sports talk show. We'll be right back here next week. Possibly needing to calm down, possibly not. See you next time, everybody.